Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. In this particular episode, I'd like to talk a little bit about what's going to go on today in the U.S. Supreme Court and essentially how it got there and policy-wise what might happen. As many of you know, President Obama, quite some time ago, issued executive orders essentially granting parents of unlawful parents of kids who were brought here when they were young status, DAPA, DACA, extensions of DACA, it basically expanded as much as he thought he legally could to give these people some kind of status. Now, while Ted Cruz refers to this as amnesty, it's not amnesty. It's just clear and simple. It's not amnesty. If somebody, doesn't fill out an application and get a green card, then it's not amnesty. Okay, and that's not what this is. It's essentially temporary relief to give people who are already here, who have no crimes, basically the ability to work legally and to get paid for it. And expands it in some other ways. Well, today is the oral argument in the U.S. Supreme Court on essentially why President Obama has the power to do what he did. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is whether or not the executive power of the U.S. president allows him to do what he did. And you have people all over, again, like Ted Cruz, claiming this is amnesty and it shouldn't happen and you should just kick all these people out. There's the reality of what's occurring, and there's millions of people who are here in the United States, not legally, but they are working, and there's U.S. employers, of course, that are employing them, and they haven't committed crimes. They've raised their families here. They've assimilated, and so, we can speak about policy of what should and shouldn't happen, what's good and not good in regards to these people, but then there's the reality. Okay, the reality is you have all these people here. You don't just open the door to the United States and kick them all out. Number one, that's just not going to happen. There's not enough manpower in the U.S. to do that, which is why the people generally who are being deported these days are ones who have committed crimes, and even then, some of the crimes, there's ways of fighting deportation. So the question becomes, why did President Obama do this in the first place? Why did he feel the need to create an executive order which created DACA and DAPA and the extensions and so forth? And it's really quite simple. There was, he, like most people in the U.S., agree that a lot of the immigration laws are broken and they need to be revamped. Well, of course, the way to do that is to put a law through Congress, pass it, then the president signs it, and voila, it becomes law. The problem is that there was a very comprehensive immigration reform bill that had come out, and a lot of it was enforcement, because you see, a lot of the people who are against immigration reform are because they want enforcement. They want a wall type thing. And so there was a lot of enforcement in this particular bill, and it actually passed through the Senate. It passed, so it had to go to the House. And this was, long before President Obama did and gave his executive order. And when it went to the House, the Speaker of the House just let it sit there. He didn't open it, he didn't read it, he didn't bring it to the floor, he didn't bring it to a vote, he just let it sit there without any movement at all. And he did this for years. An immigration reform bill that passed the Senate was dead on arrival when it hit the House. And so President Obama after trying for years to get Congress to pass a bill. And even if they didn't pass it, at least get them to vote on it. Okay, to me, if you don't even bring it up for a vote, that means you're afraid that it might pass. So he did essentially the only thing he could do, which was to limit what type of reforms can occur through executive action. But then he issued his orders, and then of course, once he did the executive orders, there was lawsuits all over the place, that he didn't have the authority to do that, and that it's not his right, and that Congress needs to do it, even though they didn't. And ultimately it ended up as in the U.S. Supreme Court, which oral arguments will be heard today, and we might have a decision in a few months. So it's not like he just, woke up one morning, he being President Obama, he's not like he just woke up one morning and said, oh, I think I'm going to change all the immigration laws under the sun. No. He tried for a long time to get Congress to pass, and then when nothing happened and there was zero movement, that's when he took it in his own hands to, within what he believed was legal, issue the executive orders giving these people temporary status, not amnesty. Again, don't let people fool you into think that this is amnesty. Okay, and so we'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll pass, and hopefully it will show that the president had the authority to issue and to give the rulings that he did. So keep your fingers crossed. More on the coming videos.